The key to hunting Jedi is patience.
This is the Buntarelli Show.
My name's Joe. Joining me, of course, I got Bob. Bob, Obi-Wan.
Oh man, it looks so cool. It's like seeing it's a both trilogies of Star Wars somehow at the same time. You know what I mean? Like I feel like the best of both of them is in this one.
Yeah, it's gonna bridge the gap, and it's even got some Clone War stuff in there too. And they're digging into the whole sandbox, but I really like in the first few minutes, just almost like to even zero in the audience on what period of time this is. First thing he does is he zips in on Luke with the binoculars, and you just see Luke playing like spaceship. It's important, even for the trailer, because it gives you a framework in your mind about what time frame this is, because he's a baby when Obi-Wan hands him to the Lars at the end of Revenge of the Sith. And, so it's like, okay, he's like 10 or 15 years later, which works because the movie was 10 or 15 years ago. So everybody's aged appropriately.
Yeah, it's age appropriate, and it's good that they do that, because I'm a fan. We do this show, and I can't keep the timeline straight myself, like mid-show. And it's not so much, it's not that I'm confused or lost. It's just I'm wrapped up in the story, and then all of a sudden Luke shows up, and you're like, oh yeah, that's right. This is Luke's living there. Like you just forget you get wrapped up and you forget that that's what it is. But yeah, to see and I'm glad that Obi-Wan, it wasn't like, all right, let's take him and make him look a bunch younger, or let's make him look a lot older. It was like you said, like age appropriate for the time anyway.
Yeah.
It looks on the production level, just from the trailer. If you were to just watch the trailer and not known any better, you would think that this is the next movie coming out. It seems above the production level. At least I thought it looked like it's above the production level. Like they had a few more bucks to spend than Mandalorian and the other Boba.
Something about it. I don't know if it's like purposely to like show it's like a tinge darker, almost like Solo, to where just, I don't know, it's a little more grounded and a little less of
when you say darker, do you mean like literally, like visually darker?
Yeah, visually, like it's just like, because you're looking at Tatooine and it doesn't look like the bright, it's the same planet Boba Fett was on, but it doesn't seem like that bright orange look. It's like that lighter gray. I'm just saying the actual color scale of the show is just a tinge, which is it's kind of, but because everything's so Star Wars, it could do that, but kind of just, it almost sets the tone of like it's a darker time for the Empire. I don't know if it's doing that on purpose, but it looks a little less campier than, and it never bothered me about Boba Fett, but you're looking at the exact same place, and I just like the look of it. You know what I mean?
It does make a difference, because now that you mention it, Boba was the picture was a bit brighter. I'm picturing the Vespa chase. That scene for some reason is coming to mind, and the first three movies, which were actually the second series, the one where
the prequels,
Ewan McGregor was in it, the prequels.
Yes,
prequels had a bit of a brighter look to it. So yeah, I definitely see what you're saying, and you can do that. You could change, I mean, it's so many years later. Why not? They could change from one movie to the other.
Yeah,
hopefully they stick with that too, because because they could scrap that, and that might just be for the trailer.
And you know what? They might have changed the tone of Tatooine. And now that I'm thinking of it as I'm saying it, is maybe you just don't feel like you're looking at the Boba Fett set again. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're back here. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like you don't feel tired of it, or like I don't know. It does look like they're getting off world, and I'm pretty sure I saw a shot of Obi-Wan off Tatooine. So I have a different theory now that I've seen more. Because, before I was just throwing spaghetti at the wall when I was saying, he's going to go rescue Grogu and all that. So there's a part where it's Owen Lars, and the actor is Joel Edgerton, who portrayed Owen Lars in episodes 2 and 3. So who becomes, Luke's Uncle Owen. He's there. and he gets confronted by an Inquisitor, not directly, but he's there when the Inquisitor, which is those Sith-looking Jedi with the red lightsabers, and I'll tell you a little bit about them. But he's there. I think something happens where he's like, Obi-Wan might tell him, yo, tell them, yeah, you have seen a Jedi, but he's over here. And Obi-Wan just kind of diverts them away from him and Luke. From watching Rebels, I have seen a lot of those Inquisitors, especially the main one. But the girl, the female one that's on Tatooine, I've never seen her in the cartoon. Cartoon takes place after this show. So she's expendable, you know what I'm saying? So I'm thinking, like, if she gets on Tatooine, she's not making out of the show in one piece. Because, once again, nobody can know Obi-Wan's hanging out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For it to wrap up, for all the pieces to be where they need to be at the end.
I don't think we heard Obi-Wan say a word in there, did we?
It's almost he's narrating himself like he's having a conversation with somebody, which is also an interesting thing because he goes... he's just walking and you hear his voice over the thing and he goes, we've lost.
I didn't even recognize his voice. I haven't, I'm trying to think like the last thing I seen Ewan McGregor in. What was the last thing you seen him in? I haven't seen him in anything.
Did that musical thing. He did, there's a movie my wife likes, a Tim Burton movie. Big Fish. Big Fish,
yeah,
the musical
that's
thing.
a while back.
Yeah,
it's over like 10 years ago.
He's been around. He hasn't been like it hasn't been like where's Ewan McGregor been? You know what I mean? He's been popping up here and there. It's almost better you don't see him talk because we know who he is. We the biggest sell once again at the prequels was like he said a couple words and he looked nothing like Obi-Wan. He was no beard. He was just like a young guy with a mullet and the ponytail. And he was like, once the droids take over the Naboo, they'll take over you. And it's like just his cadence, and he completely like mimicked the Alec Guinness performance. And that's another thing.
The original Obi-Wan.
That's another thing Ewan McGregor said was funny. He goes, yeah, I'm about 10 years away from the age that Alec Guinness was when he played Obi-Wan. Wow. So he's like, he's in the perfect, everything just kind of lines up really cool, really smooth.
Yeah. Wow, that's crazy.
So what I'm hoping they explore, and it looks like they are, because the thing about Uncle Owen is Uncle Owen looked like it's not just a shot of him hanging out with Luke. It looks like Owen's involved with the fray, which is something I wanted to see because I want to explore those tensions between Obi-Wan and Uncle Owen. Because if you remember from A New Hope, when Luke would say things like, I wonder if he means Ben Kenobi. He goes, stay away from that crazy old wizard and things like that. And
that's right.
And things Aunt Beru said, like, Luke can't stay here. He's like got too much of his father in him. And he goes, that's what I'm afraid of. Certain lines, you thought your father should have stayed here, which kind of makes sense because Owen does meet Anakin in episode 2. So the whole relationship is Owen's father bought Shmi as a slave from Watto and fell in love and freed her. And they were married, but then she was kidnapped by the Sand People. But she spent years, and Owen knew her as a stepmother, which makes him Uncle Owen. You know what I'm saying? They're not related by blood, but they kind of established that. But he does know, he did meet Anakin. He knows Anakin went off. And as far as we know what Obi-Wan told him, I'm guessing he's just going to tell Owen, Anakin died. Not like, I chopped his arms and legs off. Here's his kid. It's a long story. But I think when Owen sees this other stuff and these other dangers, it kind of gives more credence to why he would, not like Obi-Wan around. The kind of, the tensions. I want to see that dynamic. Oh, you know who else is in this? O'Shea Jackson Jr., Ice Cube's son. And he played Ice Cube in.
He played Ice Cube. He looks just like him.
Yeah, he looks just like him
in the the NWA movie.
Yeah, and I liked him in that. And he was in some other action movie, but he wasn't in the trailer. If I'm curious, it says he's credited for being in 6 episodes. So that's interesting. Of course, also in the cast, like confirmed, and it's so funny, Bob, because I got the Revenge of the Sith right next to me. Next to the IMDb of Obi-Wan Kenobi. So everybody's got the exact same like headshots. So you see Ewan McGregor, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and then Hayden Christensen. So on episode 3, it says Anakin Skywalker. And on Obi-Wan Kenobi, it just says Darth Vader. Like he's just straight up. They're not, a character and everything. He's just straight up Darth Vader.
Yeah.
Now, whether they slip him.
Oh, so he's definitely in it. So he's
he's
definitely
in
like
it.
a question before.
No, I think what he's going to be is he's going to be like the final battle. And because if you go back to A New Hope, now it really, because they showed the breathing at the end of the trailer. You see Obi-Wan's face and you hear, right when the title rolls. But that's like, because it's been said before, when Obi-Wan meets Darth Vader in A New Hope, he goes, "You never should have came back, old man." Which almost says, well, he must have been here before. come back out of hiding or whatever it is. So he goes to Vader. Once again, Vader can't come to Tatooine because Luke's there. So somehow, but he's going to have that showdown. And here's the other cool thing, also making a return, is John Williams. So John Williams is the orchestrator, does the music behind all the Star Wars films, okay? All 9 of the Skywalker saga. He did a little bit of solo, but really...
I did notice the music was...
straight out of
like
it. Yeah. The Duel of Fates. That was straight up the song when Obi-Wan and Anakin fought. So you get that, Ewan McGregor. And this is what we were hoping we were going to see when we first heard of the prequels, is Obi-Wan fighting Darth Vader in the costume. You know what I'm saying? And even if Hayden Christensen just has like 1-2 second scene with his helmet off for some reason, and he says some lines as him, but even if he puts the helmet on and he does the acting and James Earl Jones voiceover, you all of a sudden that bridges the gap where you as the audience accept Hayden as Darth Vader. You can make that connection in your head and say, okay, that's Vader. That if think about Vader in Rogue One,
adult Hayden Christensen going to Vader, instead of kid doing it, And I'm looking at the trailer again, and I have it paused, and I thought I was going to ask you if this was it Palpatine, Emperor Palpatine? I thought that's who it was, and he's got a red saber.
No,
I don't know if I'm looking at Darth Vader because I'm sure you would have caught that.
That's an Inquisitor. So what those are like these, they're not Sith, but they're like trained in the Sith arts, and they were like trained to hunt down Jedi. So they were in Star Wars Rebel, a cartoon, Star Wars Rebels. But then they've also shown up in video games and stuff. So they took the ball and kind of ran with it and said they exist. And they actually killed off the last of them in the Rebels cartoon. So at this point in time, they could be there, but they're pretty much out of the picture before Luke and Han Solo and everybody gets there, which is fun about this little gap of time. You can make these characters and get rid of them before the big stuff happens that you know of, you know what I mean? But it makes somebody for Obi-Wan to fight. Like, I think I believe he's going to kill the female one because she's on Tatooine. So she's got to go. You know what I mean? She's seen too much.
Yeah.
But the other ones, I think, actually appear in Rebels, which is later, which means his final showdown will be with Vader. The curious thing will be like, when does Vader show up? Does he show up at the end of episode 1? You know what I mean? And you just see like little scenes and just kind of build up to it.
Yeah, and they did that real good in Book of Boba Fett. They did that good to where we're waiting for the last episode, and then the second to last episode was just like a gift from them. Like, oh, here you go. Here's all the Luke. Here's more Luke than you thought you were ever going to get. Right.
Here's the difference with the power, because this trailer doesn't need to sell you anything like a Boba Fett trailer does. You know what I mean? This trailer was just like, this is what you wanted, right? Here it is. Like, here's 2 seconds. Like you said, Obi-Wan doesn't say a word out loud, and he doesn't even whip out his lightsaber. You don't see him do anything. You just see him make a couple looks and walk around with the hood, and you're psyched because you know what he is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, not just him. Even I'm looking right now. I got it paused on one scene, and there's a stormtrooper in the background.
Yeah. You're back in that
straight up
that golden era.
Back in. Yeah. It feels closer to the storylines from episodes 4, 5, and 6 than it does.
Yes.
You would think, Ewan McGregor doing the sequel to number 3, basically. this would be like a 3.5. This movie, be like Star Wars 3.5, right? Because you got the prequels, and then this, and then it goes to whatever episode 4 is called. But it feels closer to that 70s series that me and you grew up on than the newer one.
And the coolest thing is when they bridge the gaps between trilogies, because every trilogy has like a 30-year gap between them. So kind of like The Mandalorian and Boba is kind of like they're trying to plant some seeds to how we get to Luke and his Jedi Academy and stuff for the sequel trilogy. This one's kind of making it's like, okay, the coolest stuff is the transition from Republic to Empire. You know what I mean? That's the coolest concept thing where you see like the clones kind of getting phased out and the stormtroopers kind of getting brought in. And you kind of hear like, oh, these are the changes being made in the galaxy. This is being outlawed. So here's the things that are going to be cool. So if these Inquisitors are hunting down remaining Jedi, do you get to see other Jedi get killed? Things like that. Like another Jedi has his final showdown. It's in hiding. Show us like that.
Yeah.
The Jedis that survive Order 66. There's Ahsoka.
Getting to see the other Jedis, not necessarily seeing them getting killed.
Yeah.
But just the fact that we get to see, because plus they could bust out all kinds of characters.
Yeah.
And there's definitely some more Force going on in this one.
Yes.
They showed the one guy floating.
Where Obi-Wan says, we lost. It's over. Who's he talking to? Right? So what if, because they're not showing the scene. So is he communing with Yoda? Or is he communing with Qui-Gon? Because that's a doable thing. And Liam Neeson says, I'll do it. Especially they got the money that, you get a Liam Neeson Force Ghost, that brings everything together. You know what I mean? That makes it like the chef's kiss, moi. You know what I'm saying? Like we just like he just appears in front of Obi-Wan and says, Obi-Wan, you must go find Grogu or something.
Yeah, and why not? I think they're putting a lot into it because Ewan McGregor, they got him, and I don't know what he cost, but this is the biggest name you have in the show.
Yeah.
So in this series of Mandalorian and the Star Wars shows, it's the biggest name you got. And it's like, okay, so they're paying him. And you're looking at the production level, unless it's just the way they show in the trailer, it seems to me like a lot more money's being put into it. I've seen a lot more lights and lightsabers and ships and cool stuff going on.
Yeah.
So what's cool too is because not only is this going to be at a higher level, assuming this storyline's good and everything, but maybe it's setting the bar higher for the next Mando and the next Book of Boba Fett or whatever they do for the next shows. You know what I mean? Maybe Disney's real. This might be us seeing, all right, this is the future of it. Like they're going all in on these Disney Plus shows.
Yeah, because there's
movie theaters.
This isn't like unlike Mandalorian and Boba Fett, you could say those are like part of Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni's like big little map they got for the future of Star Wars, right? But this Obi-Wan pocket, yes, you have to be careful. You can't mess up any continuity and everything, but it doesn't really affect the plan that Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, the things they're doing. Point being said is maybe they're giving. So the director of this is Deborah Chow, who directed a couple episodes in The Mandalorian, but one of them that was really good was The Sin, and that's the one where the Mandalorian hands in Grogu, and then like he's in the ship and plays at the ball, and he goes back and just straight up rescues him. Just like it was a really, really good episode. And she's done some other stuff, but this ain't her first time in her first rodeo with Star Wars. So I think she's going to be good.
Different timeline than the not different. Yeah, different time than the shows that we've seen.
The
so
shows
far.
we've seen are
this
after.
One's more. Yeah, I wonder if this was made more as a standalone.
I think so because I don't think
the others. I think so.
Yeah, because Ewan McGregor isn't signing on for season 1, season 2. It specifically says, even in the ad, it says a limited series on. So this is like a 5 or 6, whatever it is. Well, I think it says 6 episodes. So 6 episodes. So this is like it's a mini series. It's going to be. It's going to have a beginning and an end. Which is nice.
Yeah, it isn't 2 renegades going out and okay, here's their adventure for the day.
Yeah.
They got to go do this.
Yeah.
They're going to go meet this guy and do this.
Yeah.
It's like, no, this is a standalone. It's almost like it's like a movie, but it's okay, instead of doing the movie, split it into this many. which is fine, and that's almost better. It's better because like we say all the time, like it's better when something's like a standalone thing. Like okay, instead of just all right, it's leading into the next one, or it's just killing time.
Yeah.
While like the plot's put on hold, and now we just got to watch Mando go fight these cowboys somewhere.
Yeah.
I'm not knocking that show, but you get just a TV show is just going to have that.
Yeah, well, you could, like, we loved Boba Fett, we enjoyed it, but in retrospect, you could argue like it was a little sub-chapter of The Mandalorian. It was like, let's kind of zip to the left and focus on this character and get right back into the big thing we're doing. You know what I mean? The Mando thing. Whereas this thing's going to have a beginning and an end, and like I said, be I don't think they're going to mess with Obi-Wan. I think he's like a heritage character. You can't mess with him.
They're not going to mess with it, and maybe they'll still take a little bit more risks and stuff because it's not a movie, so it's not like okay, there's so much attention on this one thing.
Yeah,
let's make sure just to stick with what people want. It's like no, give us some twists and turns and make it entertaining.
I got a feeling it's gonna be, Bob, and like I said, I just love doing the TV shows. Seeing the twists and turns and seeing where they go. So I am really excited about this one, and I'm excited about when we go, we're going to go episode for episode for it. So really looking forward to this. And of course, I'll be there. Also, Bob will be there. Bob, thank you for so much. And we'll see you guys.